Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown as we're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Saturday, April 9th, 2022. Now, if you like what you see, make sure you give us a big thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and leave us a comment down below with what your picks are for the MLB games scheduled for Saturday. If you're looking for my best bets or best bets from some of the top handicappers in the world today, be sure to check out the Premium Picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Alrighty, let's get into the games for Saturday, April 9th. We start in St. Petersburg, Florida, as the Baltimore Orioles take on the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, it looks like Jordan Lyles is the projected starter for the O's. He'll be making his Baltimore debut, and this is actually his 7th career MLB team that he's on. He was on the Rangers last year, had a 10-13 record, 5.15 ERA. It really struggled last year. He only had 7.3 Ks per 9, 2.8 walks per 9, so the number's just not there for Lyles, and I think he's going to struggle in this game against a pretty good Rays lineup. On the other side, Drew Rasmussen is the projected starter for the Rays. He pitched really well in Tampa last season, 4-1 record, a 2.84 ERA, a nice 1.08 whip as well, so I think he's going to get the job done for Tampa Bay. I don't think he's going to pitch too deep into this game. The Rays really like to utilize that strong bullpen, and I think that's going to be enough for a nice Tampa Bay victory at home. I'll lay the run line with Tampa to try to get some value back, as the money line is a little too steep for me. Next up, we go to the AL Central as the White Sox take on the Tigers. Now, it looks like Dylan Cease is going to make his first start of the season for the White Sox, and he's absolutely owned the Tigers as of late. Last year, he went 3-0 against the Tigers in 2021, and I'm going to take him again in this spot. I think the bats can back him up. He's just pitched so well against this Detroit team. He hasn't fared as well against some of the tougher teams in the American League, but against the Tigers, he has just dominated. So I'm going to take Cease and the White Sox here on the money line. Our next game we're going to look at is the Brewers taking on the Cubs. Now, the weather has not been great at Wrigley Field this week. This game was postponed on Friday, so we can expect to see the same pitchers that were projected to go on Friday, Brandon Woodruff and Justin Steele, to be the guys that go on Saturday. And for that reason, I'm going to take the same pick I took in the video yesterday, the over in the first 5 innings. Like I mentioned yesterday, Woodruff and Steele, two guys that really struggled this spring training. Woodruff had his ERA in the 10s. Steele walked more batters than innings pitched during spring. So I expect a lot of free passes, a lot of base runners, and a good amount of runs in the first 5 innings. I know the weather has been pretty bad at Wrigley, but I do think that we're going to see some offense, at least early on in this game, to go over the total in the first 5. But make sure you're always checking your pitching reports. A game like this, I wouldn't be surprised to see a late scratch of one of the starting pitchers, and that's going to change the odds as well. So always keep checking that because things can change at any point. It's baseball. We're going to see plenty of that this season. Next up, we have the Seattle Mariners taking on the Minnesota Twins, and it looks like Sonny Gray is going to make his Twins debut in this one. Now, I thought it was a great pickup from the Twins to get Sonny Gray on the cheap. He didn't have the best last 2 seasons with the Cincinnati Reds, but you look at his numbers, they really weren't too bad. Sure, he had an ERA above 4 at 4.05, but his FIP was 3.71. He had a strikeouts per 9 of 10.7, very solid. 1.1 home runs per 9, so he's really not giving up too many long balls, which is important for a starting pitcher. So really, I don't think his numbers were too bad, and I think the change of scenery might be what he needs to really produce the numbers we've seen from him when he was putting up, third in the Cy Young voting in 2015 with the Athletics. I still think that Sonny Gray is not too far away, and I think that Gray's going to have a strong performance in this one. I think the Twins get the W, so I'll take the Twins on the money line. Next up, we have the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. Now, the Cardinals were able to blow out Pittsburgh in the first game of the series and opening day, 9-0 win for St. Louis. And now they get to face Mitch Keller, who just hasn't really produced in the major leagues yet. He's a big-time prospect pitcher for Pittsburgh. Now he's 26 years old, and right now he has a 6.02 career ERA. That's not going to get it done. He's not a number 2 option right now for me, and Miles Mikolas pitched very well in spring training. I like the Cardinals here on the run line again. I think they earn another blowout victory, and it really hurts that kid Brian Hayes was injured in the first game of the season. Hopefully he doesn't have to miss too much time for this Pittsburgh team, a team that really needs him to be in the lineup. Next up, we have the Texas Rangers taking on the Toronto Blue Jays, and it looks like Kevin Gausman is going to make his Blue Jays debut in this one. Now, you got to look at Kevin Gausman. Last year, an absolute, without a doubt, career season for Gausman. He was in the running for the NL Cy Young. He had a 14-6 record with a 2.81 ERA, 10.6 strikeouts per 9, less than 1 home runs per 9. He pitched fantastic for the Giants last year. Can he translate it to the AL East, a division with a ton of sluggers? Yankees, Red Sox, Rays, a tough division to be if you're a pitcher. We'll have to see. But I think at least in this game, I think he's going to get the win for the Blue Jays at home. I like the price that we're getting with Toronto. I know the Rangers are an up-and-coming team, and I think they're going to be a sneaky one this year. But I think the Blue Jays take care of business here. Next up, we have the biggest rivalry in baseball as the Red Sox take on the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. Now, Luis Severino is the projected starter for the Yanks, and when he's pitched well, but he's just been injured as of late. In the last 2 seasons, he has not pitched many games at all. He's actually only pitched 7 games since 2019, and this would be the year the Yankees could really use him in the rotation. And I think if he stays healthy and he's their number 2 guy, pitches as well as he has before, the Yankees have a real shot at winning the division this year. On the other side, Nick Pivetta, he was a good middle rotation kind of guy. 4.53 ERA, 4.28 FIP, had 10.2 strikeouts per 9, so solid numbers for a 3-4 guy in the rotation. He's getting the start in Game 2 of the season for the Red Sox, so it's a little questionable for me, but I think he does a good enough job to get to the bullpen. Only pitches about 4 or 5 innings in this one, and I think we're going to see a low-scoring game here. I like the under in this one. I know when you think of the short porch in Yankee Stadium, you think of a lot of runs via the long ball, but I think these pitchers do well tonight, and I think the bullpen takes care of the rest, so I like the under here. Next up, we have the Marlins and the Giants, and I like the under in this game. I think we're going to be taking a lot of unders with these 2 teams this season just because their pitching staffs are great. Pablo Lopez, a good guy to have as your number 2 pitcher. Last year, a 3.07 ERA, 3.29 FIP with a 10.1 strikeouts per 9. His strikeouts per 9 has just continued to rise since his rookie season. He's really developing well. 26 years old now. I think he has a strong year. Carlos Rodon on the other side, the projected guy for the Giants, threw a no-hitter last year. He was 5th in AL Cy Young voting, pitched very well for the White Sox. I think it was a great pickup for the Giants to make, especially because they did lose Gausman to free agency. Rodon is going to be a guy who's going to be able to replace Gausman this season. I think runs are hard to come by here, and I think we go under the total. Next up, we have the Oakland A's taking on the Philadelphia Phillies, and I like the over in this game, contrary to the last pick I just made on the under. I think we see plenty of runs in this game. Cole Irvin and Kyle Gibson are the projected starters for these 2 teams. They both had ERAs above 5.25 in spring training this year. Last season, Cole Irvin was pretty inconsistent. He had some strong starts, but most of them, he was giving up a lot of base runners, a lot of good contact as well. Kyle Gibson, another guy, pretty inconsistent. I'm just not too big on either of these starters. I think the Phillies lineup really has a strong day. They could put up 6-7 runs themselves. I wouldn't be surprised. I think Oakland pitches in a few also, and I think we go over the total in the Oakland-Philly game. Next up, we've got the Cleveland Guardians taking on the Kansas City Royals, and I like the Guardians in the first 5 innings of this one. You look at the projected starter for the Royals, it's Brad Keller, and he really struggled last season. He also struggled in spring training of this year. He pitched 7 1/3 innings, 6 earned runs, 2 home runs allowed in spring this year. I think the Guardians can get to him early and take a quick lead. We saw the Cleveland bullpen blow the game in the first game of this series, and I don't really want to get involved with the bullpen late in this one. I think we just take the first 5 innings on the money line. It's a good price for us, and I like the Cleveland there, first 5. Next up, we have the Mets and the Nationals, and the Mets are going to be debuting another starting pitcher for their new team. Chris Bassett going to be making his Mets debut in this one. I thought it was a good pickup from New York. They made a lot of quiet pickups this year for their lineup, guys like Mark Canha and Eduardo Escobar. Obviously some bigger names in Starling Marte and Max Scherzer that they brought in. But a guy like Chris Bassett, he pitched very well for the Athletics last season. He doesn't really blow anybody away with his stuff, but he just gets outs, and that's what you need in the starting pitcher role for your 3rd or 4th guy in the rotation. I think Bassett pitches well enough here for the Mets to do the rest offensively. This Mets team, the lineup's looking really good early this season, and I think they get the win here on the road. Next up, we have the Reds taking on the Braves. Now, in this one, I like the over. I think we're going to see some fireworks in this one. Vladimir Gutierrez, the projected guy for the Reds. He didn't pitch very well in spring training. He did pitch well down the stretch of last season, but overall, he still had a 4.74 ERA and a 1.41 whip. So he's a fade for me so far early this season. And I also think it's a fade of Kyle Wright as well. When you've seen, Kyle Wright pitched very well in spring training this year, but we've seen him at the major league level just not been able to get it done in the regular season. He's just had really not great numbers at all so far in his early career. He's still got plenty of time to go, but until he shows me something different, I'm going to have to continue to fade him at a 9.95 ERA last season. I think we see both teams get on the scoreboard early and often, and I like the over in this one. We head to Coors Field in Colorado as the Dodgers take on the Rockies. Tony Gonsolin and German Marquez are the projected starters so far for this matchup. I like the Rockies in the first 5 innings. I really don't want to get involved with that bullpen, similar to the Cleveland Guardians game. Don't love the Rockies bullpen. It's actually ranked 30th in the league going into the season, according to Fangraphs.com. And I definitely think the Dodgers are going to be able to make a comeback late in this one and win it. But in the first 5 innings, give me the Rockies. I think they have the better starting pitcher on the mound here. Marquez looked very strong in spring training. He's a good strikeout guy, misses a lot of bats, and when you're playing at Coors Field, you want to miss as many bats as possible because we know where the ball can go when it's made contact with. So I think the Rockies do a good enough job in the first 5 to take the lead, and then they blow that lead later in the game. So give me the Rockies first 5, and I lean towards the Dodgers in the full game. Next game we have is in the NL West as the Padres take on the Diamondbacks. Joe Musgrove and Zach Davies are the projected starters for these two teams. Musgrove pitched well in the beginning of the season last year. He started to struggle as the season carried on. Zach Davies really struggled from start to finish last year. 6-12 record, 5.78 ERA with the Cubs last season. And I think he's in trouble in this spot against a pretty good Padres lineup. I think this is a feel-good spot for the Padres where they can get their offense going as it struggled early on in the first game of the series. So give me the Padres on the money line in this one. For our last matchup of the night, we're going to go to Los Angeles as the Astros take on the Angels. We've got a pretty good one brewing here. If you look at the projected pitching matchup, Justin Verlander and Noah Syndergaard. Now, Verlander making his return after the season-ending injury that he suffered. And, it's really nice to see him get back on the mound. One of the best pitchers of my generation, and hopefully he has some success this season. But Noah Syndergaard can hold his own. We've seen him pitch very well in his time with the Mets, making his Angels debut in this one. He pitched very well in spring training, and I think he holds his own here. I think we got a pitcher's duel early on. But you look at these two teams' lineups, they're pretty similar. But with the Angels being at home, I'm going to give the edge to the Angels here. I'm going to take them on the money line. I think they get the win in the end. And that's it. Those are the games for Saturday, April 9th. If you enjoyed this video, please leave us a like and subscribe to our channel. And again, leave us a comment with what your picks are for the games in baseball for Saturday. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.